Hello dancers, and welcome to this learning video on the communication of choreographic intent. So this learning video is suitable for anyone studying dance at GCSE, or it's also helpful and useful for those at Key Stage 3 wanting to learn more about what this means. So throughout this video you will learn about how we can communicate the choreographic intent, what it is and why it's important, and then you are also going to apply knowledge to exam style questions. Okay, so first thoughts, I want you to begin to think about, you might want to pause the video in a second to answer the following questions. So what is a choreographic intention? So can you define it? What type of performance skill is communicating choreographic intention? Okay, so which category does it fit under? And as an extra challenge, how could the choreographic intention be communicated in a piece? So just pause the video, spend 1 minute answering the questions. Okay, so what is choreographic intention? So the definition is the aim of the dance. So what the choreographer aims to communicate to the audience. Okay, please write this down if you have not got the correct answer. So what type of performance skill is communicating choreographic intention? It is an expressive skill, so it comes under the expressive skill category. And finally, the extra challenge, how could the choreographic intention be communicated in a piece? So there's lots of different ways, but here are some. So it might be the mood or atmosphere, it could be use of the theme, the actual movement content, the costume, oral setting, all of which we are going to explore later in this lesson. So please pause the video now and make any additional notes. Okay, so now that you are able to define it, you might be thinking, why is understanding choreographic intention important? And that is because it can come up on any 3 sections in the exam paper. So it could come up in section A, talking about hypothetical choreography. It could come up on section B, explaining how your own choreography communicates your choreographic intention. Or section C, where you'll be asked to explain or discuss how content in specific anthology works communicates choreographic intention. Okay, so it's important to understand that when we are looking at the choreographic intention, this has come from the stimulus, okay? So obviously your stimulus is the inspiration or idea for movement or the starting point for a dance. So the choreographer has interpreted and been informed by the stimulus to create their intention, what they want to communicate to the audience. So this could come up on section A, as I mentioned before, thinking about hypothetical choreography, where you'll be given a stimuli, and then from this stimuli, the first question often asks you to outline a choreographic intention, and all the questions following this will then link back to the choreographic intention that you first stated. And then secondly, it could come up in section B. So this is similar to the hypothetical choreography, where you're given a stimulus, but this is set by the exam board, and you do this practically, so you create your own choreography in relation to that set stimulus. Okay, and in the exam paper you will then be expected to explain why you made certain choices in your choreographic process. So thinking about different elements and then how that informed the choreographic intention. So choices in terms of the movement content or production elements, why you made those choices to communicate your choreographic intention. So this is just an example of how in section C, so looking at the GCSE professional works, have links between the stimulus and the choreographic intent. Okay, I know that some of you might not necessarily have learnt all or even some of these, However, I just thought it'd be good to give you an overview and develop an understanding of how this might be applicable later on in your studies. So here we can see in the table the professional works down the left hand side. You've got the stimulus, so on the right hand side. So for example, with Alina Curva, part of the stimulus was celebrations within Brazilian culture. And this is clearly reflected in the choreographic intention of a sense of samba parades and also having fun. Okay, again, it can be seen in artificial things. So looking at the stimulus on the right hand side, so an isolated figure on a collapsed wheelchair and dancers' personal experiences, they could be reflective of the choreographic intention of life's limitations and resolutions. Okay, so just have a look. This is just information just to explain how the choreographer from the stimulus gets to the choreographic intention. And again, here on this second slide is looking at the other three professional works, looking at the links between the choreographic intent and the stimulus. Okay, so now we know that the stimulus and the choreographic intention have a clear link. I would like us to have a think about what we are communicating with the choreographic intention. So I would like you now to make a mind map and identify what you think the choreographic intention aims to communicate. Pause the video and write your answers now. Okay, so the choreographic intention communicates a variety of things. So this includes the mood or atmosphere of the piece. It might be a specific meaning, okay, that obviously has come from your stimulus and your interpretation of that stimulus. It might also be an idea, okay, something that you have interpreted as the choreographer or the choreographer has interpreted. It might be a theme, or it could also be a style or a style fusion, so that combination of multiple different dance styles. So pause the video now and add to your mind map if you have not got these answers. So then I'm going to pose a second question. So I need to add now to your mind map, what elements of production or choreography can we use to communicate these ideas? Okay, so what can we use? What do we know we can use? How do we communicate it? The mood, atmosphere, meaning, idea, theme, style fusion when we're communicating the choreographic intention. So pause the video now and add to your mind map, maybe in a different colour, thinking about specifically production elements or choreography. Okay, so we can do this in a number of ways. So you have, in terms of choreography, you might look at the movement content. So you've got actions, relationships, space and dynamics. You make choices on those things to communicate your idea with the audience. You also might choose a specific number of dancers or the gender of dancers to help communicate your idea. Or the choreographer may have done this. And then you also have production elements. So you have staging or set design. You also have the oral settings, so the type of music or accompaniment that you might use, the costume and the lighting. These can all contribute and all communicate the ideas that you have. So please, if you have not got all these, add to your mind map now by pausing the video. Okay, so now that you understand what the choreographic or communicating the choreographic intention, what it is, how we can do this, I would like us to apply that knowledge to a task. So I would like you to watch this video of Motion House perform Kevin Finnan. So Kevin Finnan is the artistic director of Motion House. His work, and make notes or comments on the 5 W's. So thinking about what, who, why, when and where, in the hope that from this information you will then be able to come up with the choreographic, what you think the choreographic intention is. Okay, so you need to watch the video, write notes, comments on the 5 W's in the hope that this will then inform what you think the choreographer is trying to communicate. As an extra challenge, I want you to think about what choreographic or production elements, those things that you have just mind mapped, how they help the audience understand the choreographic intention, and can you explain this? Okay, so the next slide is going to be a video, and I want you to watch it answering all these questions. Okay, so after watching the video, you should now have written some notes, comments, thinking about the 5 W's and what you think it is the choreographer is trying to communicate. If you haven't already, please now pause the video and just write out what you think the choreographic intention is. Okay, so the choreographic intention is actually to explore the human relationship with energy. So as we know, energy is seen in a multitude of ways. That could be within the human species, so how we use energy in terms of electricity. It could also be the planets, so the natural energy systems, the human body, so our body, how we utilize energy, and then also thinking about the animal species and their use of energy. So now I would like you to watch the video again, okay? If you have already started making notes on the extra challenge from the previous question, then this might help you again here. But I would like you to make specific notes on the choreographic content, okay? So it could be the use of actions, relationships, space and dynamics, and also one element of production. So element of production could be the use of lighting, the use of staging or set, the oral setting, and then using these notes, I would like you to answer the 2 questions below. So 1 is explain how the choreographic content helps the audience's understanding of the choreographic intention, okay, and that will be 2 marks. And then secondly, explain how one element of production contributes to the audience's understanding of the choreographic intention. So remembering now that it's the exploration of human relationships with energy. Okay, and picking out specific choreographic elements and also one element of production. Okay, so now you have watched the video for a second time and made maybe more detailed notes on the choreographic content, so whether it's the actions, the dynamics, the relationships, or the use of space, and also one element of production, so that could be the oral setting, the use of set, the use of costume, and then linking that to Kevin Finnan's choreographic intention, that is the exploration of the human relationship with energy. So now make sure you have written out full responses to the following questions. Pause the video if you need to do this now. So here is an answer, okay, looking at the first question, so explaining how choreographic content helps the audience's understanding of the choreographic intention. So 6 dancers perform bounces from one side to the other, followed by a sudden jump in second position. This communicates the electromagnetic energy the heart uses to pump blood around the body, therefore communicating the choreographic intention of relationship of energy with the human body. Okay, so here you can clearly see that they have written about the action content and the dynamic content. Okay, so bounces from side to side, a sudden jump, so the dynamic content sudden, and the jump in second position is action. And they've gone on to explain, so that will get you 1 mark, and they've gone on to explain how this communicates a choreographic intention. So it's looking at the heart, the energy the heart uses to pump blood around the body, and then therefore in turn communicates the idea of the relationship that our human body has with energy and the need for energy. That will get you 2 marks. Mark your own now. You might want to do the same and highlight the choreographic content, and then also highlight where you have linked it to the intention. Question 2, so explain how one element of production contributes to the audience's understanding of the choreographic intention. 2 marks. So here is a response in relation to one element of production. The dancers are wearing everyday costume. The females are wearing striped skater dresses in blue, white and black with black shorts, and the males are wearing blue or black jeans with white t-shirts or long sleeve tops. The everyday costumes could communicate the choreographic intention as the piece focuses on humans' everyday interactions and relationship with energy. Okay, so first of all, so the element of production is the use of costume, which then gone on to describe. Okay, so specific to colours and what they are wearing, the dancers are wearing. So you get 1 mark for that part of the response. And then secondly, I've gone on to explain how the everyday costume, okay, would reflect that choreographic intention of the everyday human interactions and relationship with energy. So that would then get you the 2nd mark, and in total you would get 2 marks. Please mark your own now. Again, if you want to use a highlighter to clearly identify the element of production and then where you have explained how this links to the choreographic intention. So now I'm going to introduce how communicating choreographic intention would be relevant in a section B question. Okay, so those of you maybe in Key Stage 3 or Year 9, or even Year 10, you might not have had this experience yet. Okay, so you might not be able to answer the question. However, it might be useful for you to understand what will be expected of you later on in the GCSE. So, section B, explain how your use of space contributed to the overall effectiveness of your choreography. So this will be a 6 mark question, okay? So with this, it's asking you to talk about elements of space, okay? And it's also asking you to think about the effectiveness of your choreography. So thinking about how you have communicated your choreographic intention through your uses of space. So first of all, some questions that you might pose to yourself are, why do I think the use of space was effective in communicating my dance idea? And secondly, why do I think the use of space is a strength? Because again, it is asking you about the effectiveness. So how successful you were in using elements of space to communicate your choreographic intention. Okay, so those are things to think about. Also some key tips or things that you need to remember. At the start, you need to state the choreographic intention. Okay, you must then use the KEC structure. Okay, so K standing for knowledge, where you identify the elements of space that you have used. Then the E, so the example, giving relevant and descriptive examples. And then C is the contribution, so then think about the contribution, the effectiveness, explaining your choices and linking to your choreographic intention. So remember that the highest marks are awarded for being evaluative. So saying how effective it was. So if you have already started your choreography or you are revising, I would like you now, with all this in mind, to pause the video and answer the 6 mark question explaining how your use of space contributed to the overall effectiveness of your choreography. Okay, so now we are going to look at the mark scheme in order to self-assess your response. So on the right here, you can see that this is a mark scheme taken directly from the AQA, and it highlights what evidence you require for each mark. Okay, noting that you can see in blue on the right that evaluation is required for marks between 4 and 6. Okay, so let's just summarise. So thinking about 0 to 2 marks being awarded, that would be you identifying a maximum of 2 uses or elements of space, and a simple description as to how you used it. Okay, then 3 marks, so you've got limited explanation. So you've identified a maximum of 2, you've given a simple description, so given an example of how you've used it, but you have then tried to explain why you made that choice in relation to your choreographic intention. Then 4 marks would be awarded for examples, so good examples, and you also begin to be evaluative to talk about how effective it was in your choreography. 5 marks have a very good explanation and examples, to like really strong examples to evaluate how effective your use of space were in your choreography to communicate choreographic intention, and 6 marks would be given to those who have well selected examples with excellent explanation of its effectiveness. And if you want to learn more, why don't you head over to our Glenthorne Dance YouTube site and have a look at the GCSE playlist. Here you'll also be able to see how you could use this knowledge and information learned in this learning video and apply it to Section C professional works or the anthology questions. So head over now if you want more information.